Please leave. You will be arrested. Leave north on Sussex.
Wow, Ottawa has devolved into a police state. Police are making arrests, they're towing trucks, then they're even threatening people who are just watching, saying that they could be arrested for mischief. I mean, come on, bouncy castles, hot tubs, barbecues. Yeah, that's the definition of mischief. Well, here to give us the latest updates is the founder of Rebel News, Ezra Levant. Ezra, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Your reporting has been incredible. Really appreciate you taking time.
My pleasure. Today was a terrible day. It was the day that Justin Trudeau decided to shut down Parliament, shut down journalists, and send riot horses charging into unarmed, peaceful civilians. Each one of those things on their own would be a scandal, but together, this really is a dark day for Canada, the darkest one in my life.
Well, Ezra, I know that so far, according to reports, the police there have arrested at least 100 people in Ottawa. These peaceful protesters, they've been treated far worse than what we saw during the violent 2020 riots here in America. Give us a feel for the mood on the ground right now. How are these folks holding up?
Sure. I'm in Toronto, but we have 3 reporters on the ground in Ottawa, and they've been live streaming all day. They've often been just inches away from a wall of riot police. Advancing. They're kettling people. They're trapping people together. But I want to start with the first point I mentioned, which is that Parliament was debating this emergency legislation because this is the first time it's ever been used in Canadian history. It wasn't even used during 9/11. The police told Parliament to leave for their safety. So the police told the Parliament to stop debating the emergency law that the police were using. The next thing the police did was to say to the media, get out, to say to the peaceful protesters, any peaceful protest is now deemed illegal. And then the most shocking thing, and I can see there's some paramilitary equipment on the screen, as you can see, they almost look like tanks, and there's other unusual weapons that they brought. But the worst part of the day was when, I don't know who gave the order, but someone ordered the riot police to charge unarmed civilians. And they stomped these massive war horses, stomped an elderly lady with a mobility scooter. The police put out a lie. They put out a tweet saying someone threw a bicycle at a horse. No, we all saw the tape. Though it wasn't a bicycle. Yeah. It was this old lady's mobility scooter. Trudeau or someone under him ordered riot horses to charge unarmed, peaceful protesters, moms, dads, elderly people, kids. This is the kind of thing you see in Fidel Castro's Cuba, which just happens to be one of Trudeau's favorite countries. If this were happening in Putin's Russia or in Maduro's Venezuela, the United States and the UN would be issuing condemnations. It's happening just north of you, my friends. And this is a dark day for Canada.
It's unbelievable to me. I mean, I think we all remember that video of the elderly man getting dragged out of his car by a police officer for just honking his horn in support of these protesters, giving him a thumbs up. He did nothing wrong, and he was treated like a criminal that had committed some violent act. And here you mentioned this elderly lady with the horses, and I saw clips of that on Twitter as well. I mean, was there any situation, from what we've seen, not having been there in Ottawa, from the reports that we've seen, these people have been peaceful. I haven't seen anything break out, anything especially like what we saw in America just a couple years ago.
It's incredible. 3 weeks of protests, as many as 100,000 people at the height, and not a single act of violence or even a threat of violence. I think Justin Trudeau wants violence to retroactively justify what he's doing. Why would you run horses into a group of civilians other than you want blood? Because you have to justify putting Canada under martial law. I say again, this has never happened before. Even when terrorists attacked our parliament in 2014, we did not go into this emergency status. I think one of the reasons they're doing it is to build an enemies list. As you know, they have ordered all the banks to give private information about Trudeau's opponents. By the way, that applies to American banks doing business in Canada.
Well,
so if
Ezra,
I was an American... Go ahead.
It's clearly they see it almost like a January 6th 2.0, right? They're being treated in a very similar fashion to what we saw here in the U.S. And I also want to get to this because we're running out of time, but this is just outrageous. So I know that your news outlet, you're reporting that local officials, they are ready to take pets from arrested truckers and relinquish them. I mean, unbelievable here when you're crossing a line when you take people's pets and talking about obviously euthanizing them if they're in jail for a certain number of days.
Pets are terrible, but they went one step worse, and you're not even going to believe what I'm about to say. They said that if there are any children there, they will bring child welfare services and remove the children from their families. I love pets too, but when you're telling these protesters, we will take your kids away on trumped-up charges, you know you're dealing with an evil regime. I'm calling it a regime now because it is not democratic. It has suspended parliament. It has suspended journalistic rights, suspended the rule of law and property rights. We are no longer a free country. We're partly free, but we are not free.
Well, Ezra, you are spot on, and we are so grateful that you could join us tonight. We wish the best to everybody there in Ottawa. Safely, have a safe evening to all of you. Ezra, thank you so much.
Thank you.